Hello and welcome you all for today's session on numerical in basic concepts of chemistry. In class 11th, the first chapter basic concepts in chemistry include many of the questions based on mathematical applications. This need to be solved carefully, taking into consideration some of the important criteria, and I am going to discuss about these important areas to be taken care of in solving the questions based on numerical. What we are going to see in this chapter is the scientific notation and significant figures, then dimensional analysis, that means conversion of one unit into another unit. Is there any simple way? Percentage composition. Percentage composition, the percent of one element present in a compound, regarding that. Then empirical formula and molecular formula. Then determination of molecular formula, mole concept, an important thing to be taken care of. Mole concept, then stoichiometry. Stoichiometry means measurement of a chemical reaction. What a chemical reaction suggests and what way we can proceed for getting an unknown in a chemical reaction. And the limiting reagent. Then we will also discuss about the methods of expressing the concentration and also the numerical based on that. In science, there are varieties of physical quantities to be measured, and similarly there is varieties of units. System of international units have chosen some of the units as a standard one. When we come across a measurement of a smallest thing like radius of an atom, that is to be expressed in a quantity, that is to be expressed in a unit, and also the distance between the sun and a celestial body also to be expressed in the same unit. So choice of unit is again an important thing. In chemistry, basically substance contain large number of molecules. When we cannot able to see the molecules, still we should be able to count the number of molecules in an indirect way. Suppose if you take a small amount of ice that contains large number of molecules present in it. So, to know the number of molecules present in an atom and express that in terms of a physical quantity, it is always a task. Therefore, we express the numbers in scientific notation. In scientific notation, we express any number given in the form of n into 10 to the power small n, where n is, capital N is the number between 1 to 10 and the exponent n is maybe a positive number or negative number. This is the way we express all the numbers. For example, if there is a number like 562.3, this number can be expressed as 5.623. This should be a number between 1 to 10. This should be the number between 1 to 10. And the other things will be in the powers of 10. So since you have moved two places to the left side, so this is to be raised by 2. So you are multiplying by 10 to the power 2. That means you are multiplying by 100, you will get the same number. By multiplying by 100 to this, you will get the same number. This method of representation of a number is called scientific notation. So there will be a large number like Avogadro number. So 6.022 followed by many number of zeros. And this can be expressed conveniently by using scientific method, that is 6.022 into 10 to the power 23. That means after this particular number there are 23 places. After the decimal point there are 23 different digits. Now just have a quick look on how to solve these questions. 0.00005. To express this, we have to move places 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 places we have to move. Therefore, 5.2 into 10 to the power. So if we are moving to the right hand side, this will be take the negative number, 10 to the power minus 6. So as I told you, the n, small n may be a positive number or negative number. So if this must be between 1 to 10, right? Now, in this case, the number, the point, decimal point is to be moved to these places. So 3.79231 into 10 to the power, 10 to the power. So 1, 2, 3, 4 places you have moved to the right. Therefore, you have to multiply by 10 to the power 4. So this is the simplest way we can able to express a number in scientific notation. So even this number can be kept in the simplest form, I mean rounded off, in the rounded off if required. Now how we can able to convert this into scientific notation? Is it already in scientific notation? No, because the decimal point is after the two places which is required. 649 is not between 1 to 10. Therefore, if at all you have to do this, 6.494, this alone you convert this into scientific notation. So you have moved the decimal point 2 places towards left. That means 10 to the power 2. 10 to the power 2, because you have moved the decimal place 2 places to the left. 10 to the power 2. Already there is 10 to the power 11. Now 6.494 into 10 to the power 2 plus 11, that is 13. So these are the answers. And if two numbers are having same basis but different exponents, then exponents are to be added. This is the knowledge that you have learned in the class 8th or so. Now coming to the significant figures. In significant figures, to find out the significant figures in the already represented measurement, that means an expressed quantity after measurement, we have to find out the significant figures in the measurement. There are certain rules to be followed. One is, all non-zero numbers are significant. All non-zero numbers are significant. 3.005 or 30.05. Both are having the zeros maybe after the decimal point or before the decimal point. All these zeros are significant. They are to be considered as significant figures in the measurement. Zeros preceding the first non-zero numbers are not significant. What do you mean? 0.0045, if this is the number, zeros preceding the non-zero numbers are not significant. These are not significant. That means it has got only 2 significant figures. Zeros between the 2 non-zero digits are significant. Zeros between the 2 non-zero digits are significant. Therefore, these 2 zeros are significant. All zeros placed at the end of the right of the number are significant, provided they are on the right hand side of the decimal point. That means if it is written like this, 102.0, even though the 0 is here, it is equal to 102, as you know, but this is significant because this tells you about the places decimal place is speaking about the accuracy of the instrument. Therefore, we have to consider this 0 also among the significant figures. Therefore, this number is having 4 significant figures. So, keeping this in mind, we will take up some questions. How many significant figures are present in this? So this is written in the scientific notation. 4.01 in 10 to the power 2. You have to look at only this. So there are 3 digits and the number of significant figures is 3. Right? 8.256, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 are the significant figures. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All 5 are significant. Even this is significant because it is the right hand side of the decimal point. Right? Now, dimensional analysis. Dimensional analysis is conversion of one unit into another unit. We often come across conversion of the units in the numerical. Let us try to see what are the important points for the conversion. So we need to remember these things well. 1 nanometer, because atomic size is of nanometer. 1 nanometer is 10 to the power minus 9 meter. 1 picometer, PM is picometer. Picometer is 10 to the power minus 12 meter. And 100 centimeter is equal to 1 meter. And 10 millimeter is equal to 1 centimeter. These are the basic units. But remember, these are oftenly coming across the numericals that we are going to. So, in volume, measurement of volume, it is confusing. 1 meter cube is equal to 1000 liters. 1 meter cube is equal to 10 to the power 3 liter, that is 1000 liters. 1 dm cube is 1 liter. 1 dm cube is 1 liter. 1000 milliliter is 1 liter. 1000 milliliter is 1 liter. Okay. So, these are the important things to be remembered. Then, in measurement of pressure, there are many units: atmosphere, bar, Pascal. All these are the units of measurement of pressure. So 1 atmosphere is 760 millimeter of mercury. 760, that is millimeter of mercury, is another way of measuring pressure. And this is equal to 101325 Pascal. Or 1 bar is equal to 10 to the power 5 Pascal. Pascal is considered as a SI unit. 1 calorie, so measurement of energy, 1 calorie is 4.184 joule. And 1 electron volt is equal to 1.6022 into 10 to the power minus 19 joule. So these are important things to be remembered. And one more, conversion of temperature from Fahrenheit scale to degree Celsius or vice versa, and Kelvin scale to degree Celsius scale. So remember one, Fahrenheit scale, when the Celsius scale is being given, if you want to convert into Fahrenheit scale, 9 by 5 into degree Celsius plus 32 is the formula of it. And if you want Kelvin scale, the unit of the measurement in the degree Celsius is to be added by 273.15 to get in the Kelvin scale. Now, let us take up some examples. Conversion of the units. Express the following in SI base units using the powers of 10. 2.54 millimeter. 2.54 millimeter. Now, the SI unit of the measurement of length is meter. Now, if it is to be converted, the better way is multiply by a fraction. The value of actually is 1. So, you know that 10 millimeter is equal to 1 centimeter. In the centimeter scale, 1 centimeter is divided by 10 units and each one is called 1 millimeter. So, this is very popularly known. No, then this centimeter and meter scale we know, therefore 100 centimeter is equal to 1 meter. So you are multiplying this by the fractions Actual value of this fraction is 1, therefore you are not changing anything. But this millimeter is to be taken in such a way that this will cancel out, and centimeter get cancel out, and at the end 2.54 into 10 to the power you can express. So 1 followed by 3 zeros, that is 1000 is the denominator, 10 to the power minus 3. So this is in meters, the left one is meter. So the answer is 2.54 into 10 to the power minus 3 meter. Now 6.45 milliliter, 6.45 milliliter ml. Now this is to be converted. Now you know that 1000 ml is 1 liter. 1 liter. Right? And 1000 liter, that is 10 to the power 3 liter, is equal to 1 meter cube. So these are oftenly coming the expressions. Remember that 1 liter is nothing but 1000 ml or 1000 cc, centimeter cube, and 10 to the power 3 liter is equal to 1 meter cube. So it can be expressed in this way. So 10 to the power 6.45 into 10 to the power 1, 2, 3 and plus 3, that is 6, that is minus 6 meter cube is expressed in SI unit. Right. 25 nanometer. 25 nanometer. So what is the value? 1 nanometer is equal to, so you know that 1 nanometer is equal to 10 to the power minus 9 meter. Now the ratio of 1 nanometer by 10 to the power minus 9 meter, this value is 1. Also 10 to the power minus 9 meter is equal to 1 nanometer. Both ratios are equal to 1. Now which one out of this will use is the point. Now 25 nanometer. Out of this you are going to use the ratio which is having nanometer in the denominator. So 10 to the power minus 9 meter, 1 nanometer. So that this get cancelled. 25 into 10 to the power minus 9, 10 to the power minus 9 meter, or in the expressing in scientific notation 2.5 into 10 to the power 1, 10 to the power minus 1, that is 10 to the power 1 and 10 to the power minus 9, with that will be converted. If it is converted, it will be 10 to the power minus 8. Right? Now 20 grams per centimeter cube. So this is the measurement of density, mass per unit volume. So the commonly it is expressed as gram per centimeter cube. Oftenly we have to convert this into this value of density into kg per meter cube, because kg and meter are SI units. Now this is 20 grams per centimeter cube. You take this 20 grams and 1 centimeter cube in this way, right, in the ratio. This is equal to, now this is equal to 20 grams to be converted into kg, 20 gram into. So you know that 1000 grams is equal to 1 kg. 1000 grams is equal to 1 kg. This tells you that 1000 is to be divided to 20 grams to represent it in kg. So the denominator is 1 centimeter cube. So this can be written as 1 centimeter whole cube. So remember, don't take it as 1 centimeter. It should be taken in this way so that it will be helpful in conversion. Now the numerator is 0 0 cancels, 2 into 10 to the power 2 into 10 to the power minus 2 kg. Numerator is simplified. Denominator 1 centimeter is nothing but 1 centimeter. If you convert it into meter, 100 centimeter is equal to 1 meter. You know this. So you have to convert it and you have to put the bracket whole cube. So centimeter get cancelled here. So 10 to the power minus 2 whole cube, that is 2 into 10 to the power minus 2 divided by 10 to the power minus 2, since it is the denominator, 10 to the power minus 2 whole cube. Minus 2 whole cube is minus 6. So together 2 into 10 to the power. If you bring it to the numerator, it is 10 to the power 6. Plus 6 minus 2 is plus 4. 2 into 10 to the power 4 kg per meter cube is the answer of this. Right. 150 bar. 150 bar is to be converted into Pascal. 150 bar is to be converted into Pascal. 150 bar into. So what is 1 bar is equal to? 1 bar is equal to 10 to the power 5 Pascal. Remember this. This is 10 to the power 5 Pascal. Okay. Now bar is considered as a standard unit now. So it is also to be, this conversion will be oftenly coming in the questions that is to be solved. So now it is easily 150 into 10 to the power 5 or 1.50 into 10 to the power, because you are moving two places left side, 10 to the power 2, that is you have to multiply 1.50 to 10 to the power 2, 10 to the power 2 plus 10 to the power 5 is 10 to the power 7. This is the answer. 35 degrees Celsius in Fahrenheit scale and Kelvin scale. 35 degrees Celsius. 35 degrees Celsius, if it is to be converted into Fahrenheit scale, write the formula of this. Fahrenheit scale is equal to 9 by 5. 9 by 5 degrees Celsius scale plus 32. Right? So, since two scales, 0 degree is 32 degree Fahrenheit, 0 degree Celsius is 32 degree Fahrenheit. 100 degree Celsius here is 212 degree Fahrenheit. So totally there is 100 difference here, but here it is 180 difference. 180 is the difference. Now degree Celsius is to be multiplied by 180 by 100. 180 by 100 is nothing but 9 by 5 and plus 32, because 0, the equivalent value in Fahrenheit is 32. Now 9 by 5 degree Celsius is 35 plus 32. So 5 7s are 63 plus 32, that is 95. 95 degrees Celsius. 95 degrees Celsius, and the 35 degree, if you add 273.15, this will be 308.15. That can be converted into Kelvin scale by adding 273 degrees. So always degree Celsius will be larger value. Degree Celsius value, when it is converted into Kelvin, this number will be a larger value than degree Celsius. So that way you can remember, so that whether it is to be added 273 or subtracted, this confusion can be removed. Right? Now percentage composition, an important thing in this. Percentage composition is the number of parts of one of the element as compared to 100 grams of the compound. Suppose if you have taken 100 grams of carbon dioxide, what is the mass of carbon present in it? Represent the percentage composition. So what we can do is we take the molecular mass of carbon dioxide. Carbon is 12, oxygen is 16, that is 16 into 2, that is 32. 32 plus 12, that is 44. Out of 44, carbon is 12. Out of 44, carbon is 12. Therefore, if it is 100 gram is taken, so this ratio is to multiply by 100 to get the percentage composition. So, if you take 100 grams of carbon dioxide, it contains 27.2727 grams of carbon in it. Right? This is the way it is useful information about the molecules, and also in cases we determine the formula of the compound, then it is required. So let us take some more examples. Calculate the mass percent of different elements present in sodium sulfate. So you know the formula of sodium sulfate now, Na2SO4. Let us try to find out molecular mass of sodium sulfate. How do you find out molecular mass of a compound? So it is the sum of the atomic masses present as it is indicated in the formula. 2 into sodium atom, some basic atomic mass you must know. This is 23U plus 1 sulfur is there, that is 32U. 32U is the atomic mass of sulfur plus 4 into 16U. Right? So this will be totally, this will be 23 plus 32 plus 64. So 5 plus 4 is 9 and 119. 119 is the molecular mass of sodium sulfate, and the out of 119, the mass of sodium is, sorry, I have done a mistake here. 2 into 23 I have not considered. This is 46. 46, 32, 64. This will be 12, 7 plus 3, 10, 14, 142. Out of 142, 46 grams belongs to sodium. So therefore 100. Out of 142, 46 is sodium, therefore for 100. So calculation coming to be, you can calculate and see, this will be 32.39%. And if, okay, then percentage of sulfur can be got by 32 out of 142. Out of 142, 32 and into 100. And mass of oxygen, percentage of oxygen, for that mass of oxygen is 64. 142 into 100 will give mass percent of oxygen. So sum of all these will become 100, because there are 3 elements by which it is made up of, and sum of the masses of all the 3 must be giving 100. Now see the empirical formula and molecular formula. The molecular formula represents the constituent atoms and the number of constituent atoms in it. As we have seen this here, carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide means there is one molecule of carbon dioxide contains one atom of carbon and 2 atoms of oxygen. Right? This is called molecular formula of the compound. Now what is this empirical formula? Empirical formula is the simplest ratio of constituent atoms in the compound. Ratio of that means ratio of number of moles of each element that you should take care of. Now if the molecular formula is C6H6 for benzene molecular formula is C6H6, its empirical formula is C1H1. So this is the simplest ratio and this is called empirical formula. Right? So many a time we can able to determine empirical formula easily, and the molecular formula is determined by, molecular mass is determined by some other experiments, and we can calculate the molecular formula of the compound by taking the empirical formula and molecular mass is concerned. Let us try to take an example and find the answer to this. Suppose a compound contains 4.07% of hydrogen, 24.27% of carbon, 71.65% of chlorine. Its molar mass is given as 98.96 grams. What is the empirical formula and molecular formula? So this is the way the questions will be asked. So there are 3 elements in the compound. Which are the 3 elements? The elements which are present are carbon, hydrogen, carbon and chlorine. Okay, hydrogen, carbon and chlorine. So each one is of this 4.7%. Its percentage is like this, 24.27%, and this is 71.65%. This is the mass of hydrogen. 4.07 is the mass of hydrogen per 100 gram of the compound, right? So this is what the percentage composition speaks about. Now, if 4.07 is the gram of hydrogen, then what is the moles, number of moles present in the 100 gram of that we will try to find out. 4 is the mass, then we can find out number of moles. Number of moles is given by, always number of moles is given by given mass by molar mass. Given mass by molar mass will give you number of moles of it. Molar mass is the mass of 1 mole of a substance, right? Hydrogen, simplest atom, it has got 1 gram per mole. So this is 1, and there are 4.07 gram of hydrogen is present. Therefore, number of moles also is 4.07. If it is carbon, then what is to be done? 24.27 divided by 12. 12 is the molar mass of carbon. 71.65 divided by, what is the molar mass of chlorine? 35.5. So, given the percentage of each element, we have to convert that into number of moles. Okay, look at this. So here the 3 elements, carbon, hydrogen and chlorine. Carbon 24.27, hydrogen 4.07, 71.65, chlorine, all these are the percentages. So their atomic masses are known. So atomic masses expressed in grams is molar mass. 24/27 divided by 12, that will give you number of moles, 2.02. 4.07, the given mass divided by molar mass. 4.07 grams, 1 gram per mole will give you number of moles. 71.65 divided by 35.5 will give you 2.02. Now this is the number of moles. Let us take the simplest ratio of this. This is molar ratio. For that you have to divide by the smallest one. Out of this, smallest one is 2.02. 2.02 divided by 2.02 will give you 1. 4.07 divided by 2.02 is nearly equal to 2. A small fraction also may be there. So 2.02 divided by 2.02 is 1. So simplest ratio is 1:2:1. Therefore, the molecular formula of that must be CH2Cl. Okay, CH2Cl. So these are 1:1 ratio. So this is how the formula of a compound is being written. Now to find out, this is called the empirical formula. This is the simplest ratio. This is the empirical formula. Let us try to calculate the empirical mass. So the empirical mass is 12 plus 2 plus 35.5. That means the sum of atomic masses of the atoms present in the empirical formula of the compound. So that is empirical mass, right? So calculation, this is coming to be 49.5 grams. So the given molecular mass is 98.96. Divided by empirical mass will give you a number. This is almost equal to 2. That means for the formula of this, you have to multiply this by 2 so that you are going to get the molecular formula of it. CH2Cl, that is 1:2:1 is the ratio, but in actual molecule it is 2:4:2 ratio. Therefore, this is the molecular formula of the compound C2H4Cl. So what we have to do is to find out the molecular formula, divide molecular mass by formula mass or empirical formula mass, so that will give you a value by which you have to multiply the empirical formula to get the molecular formula, right? In certain cases, carbon dioxide, as I told you. So empirical formula itself is the molecular formula. So for such cases, this question won't arise. because the multiplication factor, the n value will become 1. The n value calculated for such questions will become 1. Let's take another example. If the question is given like this, 2.746 grams of compound gave on analysis 1.94 grams of silver, 0.268 grams of sulfur, 0.538 grams of oxygen. Calculate the empirical formula of the compound. Atomic masses are being given. In this compound there is silver, sulfur and oxygen. 3 atoms, 3 different atoms are there. Taking some gram of compound, it is analyzed. By 2.746 grams of the compound is being taken and analyzed. You can calculate the percentage out of 2.746. 1.94 is silver, therefore for 100 out of this many mass of the compound, this much is silver, therefore for 100 also will give you percentage composition. But we need not calculate percentage composition also. So let us try to find out the number of moles. 1.94 grams of silver means how many moles of it? The given mass by molar mass. So since atomic mass is 108, 1.94 divided by 108 will give you number of moles of silver present in it. So let us see this. Silver, sulfur and oxygen are the 3 elements. These are the masses after analysis, not the percentage as in the earlier case. So atomic masses of each one is known. 1.94 divided by 108 will give you this 0.0179. 0.268 divided by 32 atomic mass of sulfur will give you 0.0083. 0.538 divided by 16 will give you 0.0336. Now when you calculate the simplest ratio among these 3, you have to divide the numbers, all the 3 numbers by the smallest among this. Which is the smallest among this? This is 0.0179. This is the smallest one. If you divide this by 0.0083, this is the smallest one. So when you divide this by 0.0083, that becomes 1. 0.0179 divided by 0.0083 will give you 2.12. And dividing this by 0.0083 will give you 4.01. Now this is the simplest molar ratio, but there is a fraction. This fraction, if it is less than 0.2, you can neglect that, or 0.12 is there, so it is nearly equal to 2. So that whole number ratio is 2:1:4. So that is due to experimental error, we may get some fractions like that. So silver Ag is 2, sulfur is 1 and oxygen is 4. So the formula of the compound is AgSO4. The compound is silver sulfate. Ag2SO4. The formula is Ag2SO4, that is silver sulfate. Now another important concept, that is mole concept. In mole concept, what we have to remember is the mole is the measurement of amount of substance. Just as 1 dozen is equal to 12, similarly 1 mole is equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 number. So it is a large number. As I told you earlier, as we are dealing with the number of particles present in the small portion of a substance, this is a very large number. Therefore, we need such a unit for measurement. So you can write the equation: 1 mole of anything, that is X, 1 mole of anything is equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 number of that particular thing, that is X, is equal to molar mass of X. So if X is a molecule, then we call it as a molecular mass. If X is an atom, then we call it as atomic mass. If an X is an ionic compound, then we call it as a formula mass. So whatever it is, these are the units, these are the one which will give the molar mass. Molar mass is atomic mass or molecular mass or formula mass expressed in grams. So this is a measurable quantity, molar mass. So 1 mole of any substance will be its atomic mass, molecular mass, or the formula mass as it is present in that form. I want to make it the point more clear. 1 mole of hydrogen has no meaning, or it is not very specific. You have to say hydrogen atom. 1 mole of hydrogen gas. So these are different. 1 mole of hydrogen atom means hydrogen atom consisting of 1 proton and 1 electron. The number of such units taken is 6.022 into 10 to the power 23. 1 mole of hydrogen gas. You know that hydrogen gas exists as diatomic molecule. So there is this kind of molecule is 0.0622 into 10 to the power 23. 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 is number of molecules of hydrogen. So it should be specifically to be mentioned. So 1 mole of hydrogen gas consisting of 2 moles of hydrogen atoms. If they are get separated, then we will get 2 moles of hydrogen atoms. So this is the meaning of the mole concept, which is confusing otherwise. Okay. Now 1 mole of, let us take water. If water is a compound, 1 mole of water H2O is equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 number of H2O. And if you take this much molecules of water, this will measure the molecular mass expressed in grams, that is 18. Molecular mass of water is 16 plus 1u into 2, that is 2u. 16u plus 2u is 18u. So 1 mole of water if you take, that will measure 18 grams of it, right? So this is how we have to understand the concept. Let us take the examples. Calculate the mass of 1 atom of silver, an atom of silver. For any such question, what you have to do is, you write an equation. 1 mole of Ag atom. 1 mole of Ag atom is equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 number of Ag atoms. This is equal to, so silver is 108 grams. 108 U is atomic mass. 108 grams is its molecular mass. Sorry, it's a molar mass. 108 grams of Ag. Okay. Now, what is the mass of 1 atom is being asked, so that you can equate these two. It is something connected to number of atoms and mass. So this is not required. But always I suggest you to write the complete equation and relate the information to the given question. Right? So this many number of silver is equal to 108 gram. Therefore 1 atom of Ag, 1 atom of silver is equal to. So as you know that these two are to multiply, this is 108 into, so 108 into 1 divided by 6.022 into 10 to the power 23. So the mass 108 divided by Avogadro number will give you mass of 1 atom of silver. So 108 divided by 6.022, we have to do 1 divided by 23 is 10 to the power minus 23. If the answer is expressed in scientific notation, this will be 1.793 into 10 to the power minus 22. Right? Now, a molecule of carbon dioxide. What is the mass of 1 molecule of carbon dioxide? Look at this. 1 mole of, now this is not an atom, carbon dioxide molecule. So this can be extended. So number of CO2 molecules. CO2 molecules. So CO2 pertaining to CO2 you have to write the mass. What is the mass of CO2? CO2 atomic molecular mass is 44 U. It is expressed in grams, 44 grams. That means 44 grams of CO2. 1 mole of carbon dioxide measure 44 grams of carbon dioxide. Now the question is relating to what? So what is the measurement of 1 molecule of carbon dioxide? What is the mass of 1 molecule of carbon dioxide? So 1 molecule is again 44 divided by 6.022 into 10 to the power 23. This many molecules of carbon dioxide will give you 44 grams, therefore 1 molecule is equal to. So this many molecules you have to divide them so that you will get the answer to that. This will be coming to be 7.307 into 10 to the power minus 23 grams. Right? So it is in grams. It's not mentioned here. It is in grams. Why it is in grams? Because 44 grams. Gram per mole. We have expressed the molar mass in gram per mole. Therefore answer will come in grams. Right. How many atoms and molecules are present in 64 grams of sulfur? Sulfur exists as S8. Sulfur exists as S8 means 8 atoms of sulfur combined together to form a molecule of sulfur. What is the molecular mass of sulfur? Atomic mass is 32U. If there are 8, so this will be 856U. 856U is its molecular mass. Therefore, 1 mole of S8 is equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 number of S8. So everywhere it should be S8 only. This is equal to 256 grams of S8. It is grams of S8. So once you can able to write the formula of it, you can relate it now. How many atoms and molecules are present in 64 grams of sulfur? Now let us try to find out S8 only. Then we can go for number of atoms. This many number of S8 molecules is equal to 256 grams. Therefore, 1 molecule of S8. Therefore, 1 molecule of S8. So 1 molecule of S8 is equal to. So this will be 256 into 1 divided by 6.022 into 10 to the power 23. So this will be 6.022 into 10 to the power 23. Okay. So how many atoms and molecules are present? So how many atoms and molecules are present in, this is the mass of, I am talking about the mass of 1 molecule of S8. The question is, how many atoms and molecules are there in 64 grams of it? So we have to take it in this way. 250 grams of S8 is equal to 256 grams of S8 is equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 number of S8. Therefore 64 grams of S8 is equal to how many molecules of S8? Okay. So you have to rewrite this equation in the way required, because 250 grams of S8 is equal to this many molecules of S8 and therefore 64 grams of S8 is equal to. So this question mark can be written as product of means divided by extreme. 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 into 64 whole divided by 256. So this is coming to be 1.506 into 10 to the power 23. This is 1.506 into 10 to the power 23 is number of S8. Now how will you find out number of sulfur atoms? Each molecule contains 8. Therefore, this many molecules of S8 contains that into 8 is the number of atoms of 8. Now the answer is easy to get. Number of this is to be multiplied by 8 to get the answer. Okay. Now try yourself. Calculate the number of atoms of constituent elements of 53 grams of sodium carbonate. Now this will be easier one if you try. Sodium carbonate, Na2CO3. So 23 into 2, that is 46. Carbon is 12. So this is 48. So this is 16. 106. 106 is the molar mass of it. 106, and you can see that the mass of sodium carbonate given is 53 grams. 106 grams is molar mass. This is just half of 106. Therefore, you can directly say that you have taken half mole of sodium carbonate. 1 mole of sodium carbonate 6.022 into 10 to the power 23. Therefore, half is 3.011 into 10 to the power 23. This is the number of molecules of sodium carbonate present. If you want to find out number of atoms of sodium present in it, you have to multiply this by 2. This is number of molecules in the number of Na2CO3. Number of Na2CO3 into 2 will give you number of sodium particles, sodium ions. Or carbonate or carbon, if you take the one carbon is there. So 1 into, that means 3.011 into the power 23 number of carbon. And 3 into 3.011 into the power 23 will give you number of oxygen atoms present in it. Right? So you can able to find out the number of carbonate ion also, and number of carbon and oxygen present in it also. In the various ways the question may be asked. But once you understand, this is easier one. 106 grams is the molar mass of sodium carbonate. So since 53 is the given mass is 53 grams divided by molar mass, 53 by 106 is half, 0.5. 0.5 moles of sodium carbonate is there. This is the way you can quickly find out the answer in the examination. Now calculate the volume of hydrogen gas obtained at STP when 1 mole of water is electrolyzed. Right? Water getting electrolyzed. So if it is electrolyzed, you get the product H2 and O2. So if you balance it, so this will be 2H2O giving 2H2 and O2. Therefore, during electrolysis, 2 volumes of hydrogen gas and 1 volume of oxygen gas is being obtained. This is the balanced equation. We have to make use of the balanced equation to know the volumes of gases. This is from Gay-Lussac's law of gaseous volumes, that if 2 moles of hydrogen gas is being present as a product, 2 volume of this is being present. If stoichiometric coefficient is 1, then 1 volume of this is being present. 1 volume of this is being present in the container of reaction mixture. So these stoichiometric coefficients have to do with the volumes of the gases measured at same conditions. Right? Now the question is, calculate the volume of hydrogen gas obtained at STP when 1 mole of water is electrolyzed. So balanced equation tells you that 2 moles of water when electrolyzed gives 2 moles of hydrogen. But when 1 mole of water is electrolyzed, 1 mole of hydrogen and half mole of oxygen is being obtained. So 1 mole of hydrogen. So the volume of any gas at standard temperature and pressure is 22.4 liters. So this is called gram molar volume. Okay, so this is 1 mole of any gas at STP is 22.4 liter at STP, standard temperature and pressure. STP conditions are temperature is 0 degrees Celsius or 273 Kelvin and pressure is 1 atmosphere. At this condition, volume will be 22.4 liters. Since 1 mole of hydrogen is being obtained when 1 mole of H2O is electrolyzed, the answer is 22.4 liters. Right? Okay, let's go for another question. Calculate the number of moles in 9 grams of aluminium. 9 grams of aluminium. Since the question is on aluminium, what you have to do is you have to write an equation on aluminium. That should be your practice. 1 mole of aluminium is equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 number of aluminium is equal to molar mass of aluminium is 27 grams per mole. Therefore, this is 27 gram of aluminium. Once you write this equation correctly, half of your work is done. Now, the question is calculate the number of moles. So that means this when the mass is being given. We don't want this particular factor now. We rewrite 27 gram of aluminium is equal to 1 mole. 1 mole of aluminium. Therefore, 9 grams of aluminium is equal to how many moles of aluminium? So, for this question, 9 into 1 divided by 27. That is 1 by 3 or 0.333 moles. So, that is the number of moles of aluminium. Now, the second question is 6.022 into 10 to the power 24 molecules of oxygen gas. Let us write an equation for oxygen gas. 1 mole of oxygen gas is O2. Oxygen gas is O2, diatomic gas. Oxygen is available as diatomic gas. 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 number of O2, that is equal to O2, oxygen atom is 16U, therefore it is 32 grams of O2. Now the relationship is between number of molecules and moles, these two. We don't want 32 grams. 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 number of O2 is equal to 1 mole of O2. 1 mole of O2. Therefore 6.022 into 10 to the power 24 number of O2, that is O2 molecule, is equal to how much? So this is equal to 6.022 into the power 24 divided by 6.022 into the power 23. So that is coming to be 10. So there are 10 moles of oxygen gas in this much molecules of oxygen gas. 44.8 liters of carbon dioxide at STP. Now, so one more component for this equation is added. 1 mole of CO2. 1 mole of CO2 is equal to, right, it is about CO2, 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 number of CO2, that is equal to 44 grams of CO2. Since it is a gas, 22.4 liters of CO2. For the gases, we can have this component provided measurements are done at standard temperature and pressure. Now 44.8 liters of carbon dioxide STP measure how many moles? So relationship is between these. 22.4 liter measure 1 mole of CO2, therefore 44.8, just double of it. Therefore it is measuring 2 moles of carbon dioxide gas. Right. 392 grams of sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid formula is H2SO4. Let us calculate the molecular mass of it. Molecular mass is 2U plus 32U plus 64U. 2 into 1U, that is 2U. Sulfur is 32U. 4 into 16, 64U. So this is gate 98U. So once you know the molecular mass of H2SO4, you can write an equation. You can write the equation. What is that? 1 mole of H2SO4 is equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 number of H2SO4 molecules is equal to 98 grams of H2SO4. Because 98U is the molecular mass, expressed in grams is the molar mass. This is of H2SO4. Now 392 grams of sulfuric acid measure how many moles of it? So relationship between again these two. 98 1 mole. Therefore 392 is how much? So you should write it in complete sentences and then write this is given by 392 by 98. That is 4 moles. So the answers are depicted here: 0.33, 10 moles, 2 moles and 4 moles are the answers of it. Right? Now the next part of the discussion is about stoichiometry. Stoichiometry means the measurements done based on the balanced chemical equation. Why the equations are to be balanced? Equations are to be balanced because atoms are not created or not destroyed in the chemical reaction. So it is due to the conservation of mass and due to Dalton's atomic theory, we should balance the chemical equation. Suppose there is a chemical equation: calcium carbonate with HCl gives calcium chloride, carbon dioxide and water. Once you balance it, you get this equation of this equation. What this equation tells us is, when 1 mole of calcium carbonate reacts with 2 moles of HCl, we get 1 mole of CaCl2, 1 mole of CO2 and 1 mole of H2O. This is the one information it gives. It also gives the information about the masses. So 100 grams of calcium carbonate reacts with 2 into 36.5 grams of HCl gives 111 grams of calcium carbonate and 44 grams of carbon dioxide and 18 grams of water. So this carbon dioxide, 1 mole of carbon dioxide since it is obtained, this is also equal to 22.4 liters of carbon dioxide obtained. So these are all the information which is given, which is indirectly given by the balanced chemical equations. So questions based on this can be asked in the examinations. How many moles of methane are required to produce 22 grams of carbon dioxide after combustion? So methane gas is undergoing combustion. You must be able to write the balanced equation for that. Methane is CH4. When undergo combustion, it will produce CO2 and H2. So any combustible substance will give carbon dioxide and water. So carbon dioxide and water are the product of combustion. Hydrogen 4 are there, therefore you have to balance it by 2. Right? Oxygen 2 plus 2, 4 are there, therefore 2 O2 is required. Now it is a balanced equation. Now what this information gives is CH4 12 plus 4, 16 grams of it reacts with 64 grams, because 16 2s are 32 is the molar mass of O2 into 2, that is 64 grams, gives 44 grams of it plus 36 grams of H2. So you can verify the law of conservation mass also. 64 plus 16 is 80 grams, right? And here this is also 80 grams. So the mass of the reactant is equal to mass of the product. So this also you can verify. Now the question is, how many moles of methane are required to produce 22 grams of carbon dioxide on combustion? 1 mole of CH4 gives 44 grams of carbon dioxide. This is the information it is giving. 44 grams of carbon dioxide, to produce 44 grams of carbon dioxide, 1 mole of CH4 is required. Therefore 22 grams of carbon dioxide. So now it is simple. 44, 22, that is half of it, therefore half mole of CH4 is required. So questions will be simple, but the true understanding of the concept, balancing the equation, all these are needed. Right? So this is the equation. So the answer is 0.5 moles, half of 1 mole, that is 0.5 mole is the answer of this. Let us take it to another question. Calculate the mass of iron which will be converted into its oxide, Fe3O4 by the action of 18 grams of steam on it. The mass of iron which will be converted into its oxide. So the question is Fe, reaction of Fe with steam. So H2O in gaseous form. So the product is Fe3O4 plus hydrogen. So this is the reaction of it. So it is balanced equation is 3Fe 4H2O. It's being written there. 3Fe 4H2O will give 4H2. First you write the equation, balance it, then look at the question. Read the question once again. Calculate the mass of iron which will be converted into oxide Fe3O4 by the action of 18 grams of steam. Now in given question 18 grams of H2O is being given. So 3Fe 56 is the mass of the atomic mass of this. It should be given 56 into 3. 56 into 3, that is 168 grams. 168 grams of iron require 72 grams of water or steam. Steam is required. So 4 into 18. So 168 grams of iron reacts with 72 grams of steam. So you have to take the molar mass of H2O and multiply by 4 into the stoichiometric coefficient to get this information. Right? So 72 grams require 168 grams. Therefore 18 grams required. 72 grams of steam convert 168 grams of Fe into Fe3O4. Therefore 18 grams of steam converts how many grams of it? Now the question is simple. This is equal to 168 into 18 divided by 72. So this will be 42 grams. So this is the way the questions are to be solved. Okay, fine. Now let us look into another question. What volume of oxygen gas at STP is required to effect complete combustion of 200 centimeter cube of acetylene, and what would be the volume of carbon dioxide formed? Acetylene, a compound that we have discussed in the carbon compounds of class 10th. Acetylene is nothing but ethine, a carbon compound having 2 carbon atoms with a triple bond. This is acetylene or ethine. C2H2 is its molecular formula. So volume of the oxygen at STP is required to affect complete combustion of. So this is undergoing combustion. So ethine undergo combustion to give CO2 plus water. These are the product of combustion. Now this is the one that you have to balance. So 2C2H2 with 5O2 will give 4CO2 and 2H2O. This is how we can balance this equation. Now the question is about what volume of oxygen does STP required for the complete combustion of 200 centimeter cube of ethine. See, in this balanced equation using Gay-Lussac's law of gaseous volumes, 2 volume of ethylene or 2 volume of acetylene require 5 volume of O2. If it is 200 centimeter cube, then what volume of this is required? This is 500 centimeter cube. For the complete combustion, we need 500 centimeter cube of oxygen gas required. So, the stoichiometric coefficients to be considered for the volume of the gases which are being consumed. So at any temperature, at the same temperature, the reaction will take place. That way, we have to consider the volume, and therefore you can able to answer the question correctly. So for 2 moles or 22.4 liter, you can consider in this way also. 2 into 22.4 liters of C2H2 require 5 into 22.4 liters of oxygen. Therefore, 200 centimeter cube, that means in liter it is 0.2 liters of C2H2 require how much of this oxygen. So in that way, if you do also, the 22.4 liters get cancelled out and you get the same number. We can make use of Gay-Lussac's law of gaseous volumes to do it in a faster or easy way. Now, so there is a term called limiting reagent. Let us try to know about this. 3 grams of hydrogen reacts with 29 grams of oxygen to form O2. So it is a formation of water. Therefore, the equation is like this: H2O2 giving rise to H2O. So to balance this, so this is required to be done like this. So what is the information? A balanced equation gives 4 grams of hydrogen requires 32 grams of oxygen to give 36 grams of water. So this is the information given by the stoichiometry of the reaction. Now 4 grams require 32 grams. We have used 3 grams and 29 grams. So are they in the same ratio? So they must be in the ratio 1:8. 4:38. 32 is 1:8 ratio by mass. The hydrogen and oxygen is to be added. But it may not be in the same ratio. That leads to one reagent being excess in the reaction, do not undergo complete reaction. Some quantity of that will remain. Some will be the limiting reagent, and its quantity will be consumed totally. So the one reagent which is completely used up is called limiting reagent. Now let us try to see which is the limiting reagent. If 4 grams of hydrogen, 4 grams of hydrogen need 32 grams of oxygen. 4 grams of hydrogen need 32 grams of oxygen. 3 grams of H2 need. If you take this, 32 into 3 divided by 4. 32 into 3 divided by 4. So this is 4 9s are. Sorry, 3 8s are. 4 8s are. So 24. We need only 24 grams of oxygen. But this is given as 29 grams. That means you have added excess. How many grams? 5 grams added in excess. So 24 grams of this is required. 24 grams only required, but we may add this quantity more. So which is the limiting reagent now, which is completely going to be consumed is 3 grams. Now while finding the product, we have to take the limiting reagent, because 3 gram is completely giving the product. Now 4 gram gives 36 grams of H2O. 4 grams of hydrogen gives 36 grams of water. Therefore, 3 grams of H2 gives. For such products, always you choose the limiting reagent, not the excess reagent. Okay. So this will be 36 into 3 divided by 4. So 4 ones are, 4 8s are. So 24 grams. Is it correct? 4 grams gives 36 grams. Okay, 4 9, sorry, 9s are 27. 27 grams. 27 grams of water is being produced. Let us see the answers. Okay, H2O produced is 27 grams, right? And O2 left out is 27. 29 minus 23.8, there is always 24. 5 grams of oxygen will remain as this, right? So this is how the questions on limiting reagent to be done. Now the question is on 20 grams of calcium carbonate is treated with 20 grams of HCl. How many grams of CO2 will be produced? Right? So again, this is the question based on a chemical equation. Identify the chemical equation. So calcium carbonate plus HCl, treatment is with these two, will give CaCl2 plus CO2 plus H2O. So to balance this, 2 HCl and 2 O, 2 hydrogen and 2 Cl, it is balanced. Now it is balanced. 20 grams of calcium carbonate treated with 20 grams of HCl. Let us take the stoichiometry of this reaction. Calcium 40, this is 12, 16 3 is 48, so this is 100 grams. 100 grams. Hydrogen 1, 35.5, that is 36.5 into 2, 73 grams. 100 grams of calcium carbonate needs 73 grams of HCl. Now 20 grams is being taken. Find out which is the limiting reagent. Okay, 100 grams need 73 grams. Therefore 20 grams need less than the 20 grams only, right? So the limiting reagent is HCl. So we are able to find out. So how many grams of CO2 will be produced? How many grams of CO2 will be produced? Therefore, you have to always take the limiting reagent for that. Okay, so limiting reagent is calcium carbonate here. How you have identified? 100 grams need 73, not 100 grams, less than that. 20 grams need less than 20 grams of HCl, but it is 20 grams is given, it is excess. So always while finding the product, we need the reactants. So 100 gram of CaCO3 gives 44 grams of CO2. 44 grams of CO2, 100 grams will give 44 grams of CO2. Therefore, 20 grams of this, 20 grams of CaCO3 gives how many grams of CO2? So this will be 44 into 20 divided by 100. So this is divided by 5 and the answers is 8.8. So 44 by 5 is 8.8 grams. Okay. So this is the way we have to find out the answer. Now how much Fe? How much Fe can be theoretically obtained by reduction of 1 kg of Fe2O3? Atomic mass is being given Fes56U. How much Fe can be theoretically obtained by reduction of Fe to 1 kg of Fe2O3? Fe2O3 to Fe. By reduction is a process. So whatever way the reducing agent, 2 Fe2O3 should give 2 Fe. Right? So if it is taken as 1 kg, we have to find out the molecular mass of this. 56 into 2 plus, so this is 12, 112, then 16 into 3, 48, so 160. So 160 grams of Fe2O3 gives 2 into 56, 112. 112 grams of Fe. Fe2O3 molecular mass is 160. 160 grams of Fe2O3 will give 112 grams. Therefore, 1 kg means 1000 grams. 1000 grams of Fe2O3 gives how much of Fe? So this is given by 112 into 1000 divided by 160. Right? Okay, so this will be coming to 700 grams. Okay. Now, the concept on expressing the concentration, mass by mass percentage. Concentration of solutions are expressed in various ways. There will be solute and solvent. solute plus solvent is a solution, and oftenly we come across expressing the concentration of solute to distinguish two solutions in their quantitatively when we want to distinguish two solutions, we need this. Mass by mass percentage is mass of solute divided by mass of solution into 100. So the total mass for 100 grams of solution, how much gram is solute? This is the way of expressing this. There is volume by volume percentage. If solute and solvent both are liquid, then we express like this: volume of solute by volume of solution into 100. Now mole fraction of a component. This is another way of expressing. If there are two components A and B, that is called as binary solution. Binary solutions. If a solution consisting of two components A and B, mole fraction of A is given by number of moles of A divided by total number of moles in solution. That means number of moles of A plus number of moles of B. So this is the way we express the mole fraction of one component A. Similarly, mole fraction of component B is NB by Na plus NB. And for a binary solution, Xi A plus Xi B, that is mole fraction of the two components, is equal to 1. So always mole fraction of one of the component is a fraction less than 1, and sum of the mole fraction of all the components is equal to 1. So these are the three ways of expressing the concentration. Another two ways which are important are molarity and molality. Molarity is expressed in capital M, moles per liter, number of moles of solute divided by volume of solution in liters, and molality is number of moles of solute by mass of solvent in kg. Right? So molarity and molality, out of this, molarity is considering volume of the solution. Volume may change with the temperature, therefore molarity changes with change in temperature. But since the mass doesn't change with temperature, molarity is more reliable one. Let us take up some of the examples based on this method of expressing the concentration. If 4 grams of sodium hydroxide dissolved in 36 grams of water, calculate the mole fraction of each component in the solution. Also determine molarity of the solution. Right? Specific gravity of the solution is given as 1 gram per milliliter. 4 grams of solution dissolves in 36 grams of water. Calculate the mole fraction. So mole fraction of water, one of the component, mole fraction of NaOH, two components are there. We need calculate mole fraction of water and mole fraction of sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide is solute and this is solvent. Mole fraction of solvent is number of moles of water divided by number of moles of water plus number of moles of NaOH. Now number of moles of water, how you can out? So it is given in mass, 36 grams of water. Given mass by molar mass. Given mass is 36 grams. Molar mass is 18 gram per mole. So hydrogen H2 and O, 16. 2 plus 16 is 18. 18 gram per mole. This is number of moles of H2O. That is 2. That is 2 divided by 4 divided by molar mass of NaOH is 40. Na is 23, oxygen is 16 and hydrogen is 1. So total it is 40. So 36 by 18 divided by 36 by 18 plus 4 by 40. So this is the calculation that we have to do. That is 2 divided by 2 plus 0.1, that is 2.1. 2 divided by 2.1. 2 divided by 2.1 is 0.047. So this is coming to be 0.047. Sorry, this is the mole fraction of NaOH value. 2 divided by 2.1. Okay, so this value 2 by 2.1 is the value of it. mole fraction of NaOH if you calculate. So this can be done in two ways. One is 1 minus this value, or more number of moles of NaOH. Number of moles of NaOH divided by number of moles of water plus number of moles of NaOH. So this is 4 grams divided by 40 grams per mole. 4 by 40 plus 36 by 18. So this is 0.1 divided by 0.1 plus 2. That is 0.1, 0.1 divided by 2.1. So 0.1 by 2.1 is 0.047. 0.047. 1 minus 0.047 is 95 point. Okay, 0.95. Sorry, 0.943 is the mole fraction of water. So this value you can calculate and see. This is 2 by 2.1 is the mole fraction of H2O. So again another question asked is molarity. Molarity is number of moles of solute divided by volume of solution in liter. So molarity, this is capital M, is equal to number of moles of NaOH, because this is a solute, divided by volume of solution in liter. Number of moles of NaOH, moles given by 4 grams divided by 40. So 4 grams divided by gram per mole. Given mass by molar mass will give you number of moles. So gram cancels and mole will be the unit of it. Volume of the solution. So volume from the density of specific gravity you can able to find out. Density is equal to mass by volume. If density is 1, then mass is equal to volume. So what is the mass of the solution? Mass of the solution is 36 by plus 4, that is 40. 40 is the gram or mass of the solution. Therefore 40 centimeter cube will be mass, 40 milliliter is its volume. So 40 milliliter, but we want it in liter, then 1000 is the multiplication factor. 1000 you have to write here when the volume of the solution is in milliliter. So this is 0.1 divided by 40 into 1000. Right? 0.1 is number of moles of NaOH. 40 is mass of the solution. Since the specific gravity is given as 1 gram per milliliter, this is equal to 40 milliliter. When milliliter is given in milliliter, solution volume is given in milliliters, 1000 is the multiplication factor, and multiplying this, calculating, you will get 2.5 moles per liter. Right. Now calculate molality of 2% glucose solution. 2% glucose solution. 2% solution. This is the one way of expressing the concentration. 2% means 2 grams of glucose, C6H12O6. This is the formula of it. 2 grams of glucose in 98 gram of water. Aqueous solution. So calculate the molality of this. 2 grams of glucose in 98 grams of water. So 98 plus 2 is 100 gram of solution. So mass of the solution is 100 grams. So you have to calculate molality. Molality is number of moles divided by mass of solvent in kg. This is the formula. Mass of solvent in kg. Number of moles, 2 divided by, 2 is not number of moles, but it is 2 gram divided by given mass by molar mass. Once you calculate the molar mass of glucose, it is 180. 180 gram per mole. So given mass by molar mass will give you number of moles of solute, that is glucose, whole divided by mass of the solvent in kg. So this is the mass of the solvent. This is 98 gram. In order to convert it into kg, you have to divide this by 1000. Yes? So that is gram per kg, 1000. So this, otherwise denominator, the denominator is in the numerator. You have to multiply this by 1000 here. So this will be the molality of it, right? Okay, fine. This is 2 by 180, 2 by 180 divided by 98 into 1000, 0.113 will be the answer. Let us take up one more question. Chlorine prepared in the lab according to the reaction. How many grams of HCl reacts with 5 grams of MnO2? So atomic mass of manganese is being given. So here, see that MnO2 plus 4HCl, you should be able to write the balanced equation. 2H2O, MnCl2 and Cl2 are the product. So accordingly, if Mn is 55, 16 into 32, 32 plus 55, 87 grams, need 4 into 36.5 grams of HCl. Therefore, 5 grams of MnO2 gives 5 grams of HCl need. This is the way we have to find out. So the question is about how many grams of HCl reacts with 5 grams of MnO2. If MnO2 is taken as 5 grams, then how many grams of HCl is required? Therefore, it's a direct question. Once you are able to write the equation and write these calculations correctly, the molar mass of that correctly, then the question answer, it can be answered easily. 87 grams need 146 grams of HCl. Therefore, 5 grams need. 5 into 146 divided by 87, that will be coming to be 8.5 grams. Right? So, another question. 500 ml of 5M solution is diluted to 1500 ml of 1500 ml. What will be the molarity of the solution obtained? It is a question on dilution of a solution. Okay, so you have already got 500 ml. This is 500 ml. 500 ml of 5M solution, 5 molar solution. So this is diluted 3 times. That means, so vessel is big and you have added some water and this has become 1500 ml now. Now once it is diluted, remember that number of moles of the solute doesn't change. Number of moles of the solute doesn't change, but concentration changes because of dilution. Water is added, therefore one component is added, that means denominator is changed. Now, when this kind of changes are there, we can write an equation M1V1 is equal to M2V2 for dilution. So M1 is molarity of the solution for the first instance, that is 5M. 5 is the molar initial, and we have taken 500 ml of it, 500 ml of this, or 0.5 liters. You can take it as a 0.5 liters also. Now M2, in the second case, what is the molarity you have to find out? Volume of this one is 1500. So M2 is equal to 5 into 500 divided by 1500. That means 5 by 3. That is 1.66. 1.66 m. Resulting solution will be 1.66 m. That will be the answer to this. Now, why we can able to write this equation? M is the number of moles of solute by volume of solution divided by volume of solution. So volume get cancelled, and actually this will give you M1 V1 will give you measure of number of moles of solute. Number of moles of solute. So number of moles of solute before dilution, number of moles of solute after dilution, both will be same. Therefore, we can able to write this equation. Therefore, M1 V1 is equal to M2 V2 will give you the value of the concentration of resulting solution after dilution. So substitute the values of M1 and V1, that means molarity and volume of the solution before dilution, and find out the answer required. So similar 1.66 is the answer. So there may be another question like this. If 600 ml of 3M solution and of HCl is added with 400 ml of 2M solution of HCl, then concentration of the resultant solution is. So two solutions are added now. So one solution is, this is 600 ml of 3M, and there is another solution 400 ml of 2M solution. Both these two are added. Both these are added. What is the volume of the resulting solution? The volume of the resulting solution is 600 plus 400, that is 1000 ml. The resulting solution is sum of the volume of two solutions added. So in 1000 ml, the number of moles of solute here we have to find out. So number of moles of solute here is M1V1, and here the number of moles of solute here is M2V2. The formula is M1V1 plus M2V2 will give you total number of moles of solute divided by V1 plus V2 is the total volume of the solution. So 600 into 3, 600 it is in ml, if it is in liter, exactly number of moles you are going to get, or millimoles you are going to get, you are going to get millimoles. So 1800. Okay, so here plus 800, this is 800, 400 into 2, 800, divided by, so total it is 1000 there. So 1800 plus 800 is 2600, so that is 2.6. Okay, so or else you can take it as M1 is 3, volume is 0.6 plus there it is 2 into 0.4, because it should be liters. 400 ml is 0.4 liter, 600 ml is 0.6 liter, divided by 0.6, 0.4 is 1 liter. So per liter there is this much 2.6 moles are there, therefore molarity is 2.6. So that's all at this presently for this particular session. We will take up more questions in the next particular part. Thank you.